Alright, guys, and we're back. Now, before I continue on, I'd like to say I'm aware there was a fine-sized gap in between the last character creation, the one of Terra, and this one. That is, in fact, partially because I was just being lazy. But I believe I'm going to be setting a schedule, a specific day of the week I'll be releasing them. I don't have one as of yet. I'm looking for one, though. I'll figure it out, and by the next video, and at most the one after that, the KCCR, I will let you know. Alright, so let's get on with it. Last time we did Terra, and it was, well, it was pretty straightforward. Today we're going to do Guild Wars 2. Now, as you'll see, I am not on my character page. I went ahead and clicked Create New, so you can see down here we have steps. I could go back. The reason I'm not doing this is, one, I'm not trying to brag or anything like that, showboat or any such nonsense, and I feel it's just safer to avoid any attempts at account hacking by not having me right there, because it does show like your username and stuff. Either way, so Guild Wars 2. Let's go ahead and start with race, because that's step one. You're brought to well, the races. You have humans, male, female. You have Char, which you can see right here. If you need to read more of this, go ahead and pause. I'll try to give a description after I show you the races. Male, female. You've got Norn, male, female. And Asura, or Ashura. Some say Asura, some say Ashura. I say Ashura, deal with it. And then you've got Sylvari, male, female. Alright. So, let's go ahead and give you a bit of lore. Now, remember, Guild Wars 2, so this all ties in with Guild Wars 1. I used to play Guild Wars 1 really far back, and I mean really fucking far back. Like, 16, 17-year-old ass me far back. So I really can't give you a whole lot of sexy lore and details, especially considering shit could have changed. But I can try to sum up what I know about these. Now, I believe in the last Guild Wars, for you Guild Wars 1 buffs out there, you are free to correct me if you want. I believe the Char were an enemy at that point, yeah? I believe you could only be human. And what not. Either way, so you have the humans, and the Norn, the Asura, and the Sylvari. So I guess I'll start with Sylvari, because they're the easiest. Essentially, and I know I'm going to get a lot of fucking flack for this, but I don't care, this is what they are. They are the Guild Wars variant of elves. They're tree folk, yada yada. Think nymphs, made of wood. Their hair is like leaves, and one is a mushroom cap. I'll show you that later. You've got the Asura, which are, honestly, I don't know what the hell they are. They're kind of in between a goblin and kind of in between a gnome, but not really either. They're cool, don't get me wrong, and I'm awkwardly and sickly attracted to the very cute Asura females, so forgive me. You've got the Norn, which are Norn. Yo, kinsman! So, you know, fucking, it's for Skyrim. Humans, I don't even need to go into that. They're humans, exactly what they seem like. And the Char, which are some cat-like, feline-esque, dragon-slash-demonic-esque creature. Either way, let's go ahead and click Sylvari, simply because I'll click male, because I know them. I have like fucking 4 of them and 1 human. Excuse the background music, I can't do anything about that. Now, you're brought to class. These are the same for all races, so this doesn't matter, okay? You've got Necromancer, Ranger, Elementalist, Warrior, Guardian, Engineer, Mesmer, and Thief. Now, I understand that it's not a whole lot of classes, and admittedly, it's not. Guild Wars 1 had a nice cross-class system that you could be like, I was a Necromancer / Ranger, so my main class was Necromancer. I was able to use all the abilities and wands and whatnot, and I picked up Ranger, and I could tame a pet as a Necromancer. Thought it was really cool. Sadly, that aspect of character creation did not make it to Guild Wars 2. This is actually a con to me, because, yeah, I'm aware this is coming out way the fuck after Guild Wars 2 was released. I know, whatever. but I was a little bit depressed that didn't make it, only because I was heavily looking at Elementalist / Ranger. You don't even fucking know. Alright, these classes, most of them are self-explanatory. I'm going to go ahead and click this real quick and see if I can go back and stop the noise of, there we go, the warrior, because that's obnoxious. Alright, so Elementalist is your typical mage. You hit like a fucking beast. You have a lot of, you have attunements, that's your class mechanic. Guild Wars 2's classes have what is referred to as a class mechanic. Warriors is the simplest, I believe. As you attack, you build what anybody who has played WoW, you could refer to it as a rage meter if you want. I believe they call it an adrenaline meter? Yeah. And it has 3 stages. Whatever stage it's at, you can hit F1 and do an attack that's, you know, powerful. Stage 3 obviously hits like a truck. Stage 1, you know, it's whatever. So they've got that. Elementalist has attunements, i.e. the simplest way of saying it is stances, and they're based off 4 elements: fire, earth, water, air. In each, as you go to an attunement, you gain new abilities, which I'll go into in a bit. Engineer, and yes, I've tried all these classes, so I can fairly give you a brief summary of them. Thief, albeit it wasn't one of my favorite classes for obvious, well, maybe not obvious to you reasons, but obvious to anyone who has ever played MMOs ever reasons. It's pretty straightforward. It's your stealth character, but don't think stealth as in World of Warcraft, where you can click a button and linger in it for a while. No, like, you have some traits, you can up it, but generally 3, 4 to 5 seconds is about the max you get, unless you use some seriously special abilities. So, you know, it's good. It's more of a steady DPS with the ability to build for high crits. Ranger is pretty much the hunter from World of Warcraft. It's actually one of my favorite classes, but there's nothing special about it. The only difference is you can't use a rifle or any gun, but that's it. You can start with a pet, but out of 3 choices depending on your race, but you can catch pretty much all the pets. So like a Sylvari Ranger could have all the pets that a Asura Ranger could. So there's nothing limited there. Bows, great swords, one of your weapons, short sword, axe, whatnot, stuff like that. Necromancer is another straightforward class in terms of its class mechanic. F1, you go into what is called Death Shroud, and when you're in Death Shroud, you have essentially a second mode of life, if you will. Necromancers can be pretty hard to kill because of that. They can take a beating. But other than that, their non-class mechanic-based gameplay was not as interesting for me. The cool thing is you can keep your minions out at all times. That's nice, but they're fucking weak. I'm not gonna lie, they're bullshit weak. Yeah. Warrior is... went over Warrior, yeah. Guardian is currently the class I'm enjoying the most being. It's your typical heavy armored spirit wielding thing, but when I was trying to recommend a class to a friend, she was like, hey, what do it do? As I was explaining Guardian, I wasn't actually explaining Guardian as a melee-based character. Now, don't get me wrong. They can lay waste to your face with a fucking hammer, assortment of weapons, a great sword, a short sword, a mace, a shield, whatnot, but they use a staff and a scepter as well, and they can do some pretty cool magical shit. Their class mechanic consists of virtues, F1, F2, F3. Just like Elementalist is F1, F2, F3, F4. F1 is like fire stance, F2 is water stance, then you have air and earth, etc. These virtues have a passive and an active effect, i.e. if you don't click F1, 2, 3, you'll have the passive effect on at all times. It's like Retribution, Justice, every 5th attack you'll burn an enemy, passive regeneration, etc. And when you activate them, you like spread that about and whatnot. It's a pretty self-reliant class. It's very easy for a beginner, which is probably why every fucking person I see right now is a Guardian. I don't care. I don't like saying that. Either way, I went over Thief. Let's go over Engineer. Now, even though I've tested Engineer heavily, I can't honestly tell you how I feel about it, or if I even understood the class well. I went into it expecting to be able to... because Engineer and Warrior are the only ones who can use a rifle, so I went into it expecting to be able to lay waste with deeps. Like, seriously, DPS a motherfucker down, but they can't. I suppose I shouldn't say they can't do that. It's more that they don't do it as well as other classes. Their class mechanic is packs. you can put certain packs on. Like a healing kit pack. You can equip that kit, and you can like drop healing packs on the ground, heal others, but you don't have your normal attacks for your base weapon, like a rifle or a sword. A bomb pack, a flamethrower, which is why I say I shouldn't say they can't DPS, because they can lay waste to your face with a flamethrower. But in comparison, you're not going to see, at least on the server I am, Crystal Desert, going to see a whole lot of engineers. Don't know if it's just because it's Guardian Month or what, but yeah. So, I want to say they are more of a support-esque class, but as I said, Guild Wars 2 isn't, they don't have classes, so can't really do that. Either way, Mesmer. So Mesmer is another mage, but it's anything but the throw-down meteor showers like the Elementalist can do. It's more a status effect deal, i.e., when a Mesmer uses its staff, you lob a orb at enemies that will bounce between multiple enemies and or allies, whichever is closer to the target you hit. If it hits allies, it will give them some random effects, which aren't necessarily random. There's a list of what it will give allies. It's listed on the tooltip. And the same for enemies. It'll give them a boons and conditions, are what they're called, but i.e. buffs and debuffs. So, but they can use a great sword. Interestingly enough, they shoot a beam of horribly sounding purple psionic energy out of it, yada yada. So it's pretty cool. Mesmer's an interesting class to play. It's certainly, out of all of the classes, the one that is possibly the most unique. Because take Elementalist, there's nothing unique about that. It's complicated to play, but that doesn't make it unique. All right, let's move on. Okay. It doesn't matter what class you are. Now you're brought to the actual customization of character. Okay, notice you have a body slider for height. You cannot go much further than this, but you need to understand, while in character creation, notice it made me shorter over here. This is fairly short. Like in character, a normal human's height is about here. The Norn are like, so this is fairly short. You're gonna be pissed short. Like my head would be right here, kind of short. All right, then you're brought to this. Now you don't have a slider for your physique, your like buff level. Let me go ahead and hide armor. Forgive me. Don't worry. You've got yeah. So the bottom and top right here have the same size of limbs, like the same muscle mass. But when you go to the side, you acquire different muscle mass. So the bottom and top just has a different pattern, notice. So there's a few. So there's enough to say you can be, I mean, you know, you can be that, or you can fucking be that. Look how skin that little dude is. Skinny. Skin, what the hell. Down here you have skin color. Now, there's a lot of this, okay? 1 page. 2 page. 3 page, 4 page. Yeah. Needless to say, Guild Wars 2 has a large area for color of skin, and it goes to hair, which I'll get to, as well as armor, which I'll get to. So let's go to skin pattern. Now this is usually different depending on the race. Norn have tattoos. Humans have, I believe humans have beards. No wait, that's head options. Humans have, I'll go back and take a look. Either way, so for the Sylvari, it's a pattern. Okay, now let me click this. It'll make it the equivalent of nighttime. Notice I have an orange glow. That's because depending on the pattern you choose, let's choose this because it's more prevalent. No, let's choose this. Okay, so you've got your pattern color and glow. So let's choose pattern color. We'll click white because you can see that better. Let's turn the light back on. And I'm going to go ahead and choose skin color for a second, just to give you a general idea of what's going on. We're going to choose Blackstone. Okay, notice the pattern itself is white, but you can give it a glow. So you do this because it only glows at night and in certain scenarios, like in a swamp. Okay, you can change the color. So the pattern's white. I could give the pattern, once again, pages, lots of pages, a white glow. And you have an intensity level. So you could turn it all the way low, which really doesn't, you know, what's the point? Or have it all the way high or anywhere between. It's pretty nifty. I like it. I can't say it's a bad feature. Right. Head options. Now, depending on which race you are, you have different stuff, but essentially they're the same damn thing. Like for Sylvari, it's the pointy ears and whatnot. but for like the humans, it's a beard. Okay, so you got hair options. Now, the Sylvari, here's the mushroom I was telling you about. The Sylvari don't have as many hair options as the other races. I don't know if that's partially because ArenaNet's being lazy, though I feel that's unfair to say, or if it's just because it's harder because each of their, their hair is leaves, and each one of these leaves has its own level of physics to it. So I can understand it being a little complicated. And yeah, they have physics. It's nice. I mean, you can't see it with the shorter ones. Let's yeah, either way. So here you go. And then you've got the face. Once again, the humans and Norns and whatnot are all different. I'll go ahead and click. Each of these is just for the Sylvari, like the pattern of your face and whatnot. Once again, you can choose your skin color here, but you can also do that in features, so it doesn't matter. And you've got your ears, which, depending on which ones you like, is a Sylvari. You can have some normally looking ones, some normal elven looking things, and then you can have whatever the fuck that is. You can have length, and you can change the well, okay, that's fucking weird. Change like the tip's angle and whatnot. So it's enough. Now we come down here, and this is where you change all the shapes and whatnot. So the combination of this and your head options makes it so it is very hard to find a direct duplicate of yourself. Now, to be fair, that would mean, oh, I don't really see anybody that looks like me. Now, you're going to see people who look like you if you're something like a Sylvari, because we have such a limited amount of hair, and our face features are so intrusive. Like, you notice them. Like this face, you're going to see this face if you have it, if you're worried about that in the hair. But other than that, these things here, the shape and whatnot of stuff, you can edit all of this. I'm not going to go into great detail and do it, but you've got a lot to do. Black lip, fat lip, yeah. One thing I will point out is the Sylvari have some nice eyes. You can have the black sclera and the glow eye, depending on what eye you choose. I really... Some of these are just nice, okay? So you could totally have fucking white eyes, white glow, white, and all that stuff. You've got chin and mouth, and you've got armor dye. Now, I'll explain this. Oh, and you got a mask, but that's a class thing. I'll explain in a bit. Either way, you can dye your armor at the beginning of the game. Everybody has these colors to start out with, no matter what race and class you choose. These are your starter kit dye. You can change, fucking whatever you want here. But there is so many more dyes in the game. Right now, of course, like any game, white and black are going to be your popular ones. By black, I mean in this you have black and abyss, and in here you have white and celestial. Abyss is going for like fucking 29 gold on Crystal Desert. Either way, and once you unlock them, they are sadly set to the specific character. So, yeah. But if you're like me and you don't love having a lot of alts, there you go. And you can get unidentified eyes throughout the game as you play. Dies throughout the game as you play, and you can just use it or sell it, whatever. Alright, let's go ahead and click next. This is class-based, not necessarily race-based. So any Mesmer will have this, okay? Alright, you gotta choose a mask, and it's like, bleh, and they all have a description. It helps. I'm not sure if this mask choice has to do with your personal story, which helps define your character, but either way, it's there. And the next, you have this. Everybody has this as well. This is how you go about things. They are pretty much what you would think they would be, but at the same time, somewhat misleading. Charm, I always end up choosing because, hey, but that's pretty much your you can do it, everybody loves you, but sometimes it's ass-kissy as hell. Dignity bounces between the upstanding holy crusader, or the fucking just... It can get bad. I don't know. Ferocity is yeah, it's like, I would crush you. But at the same time, it's telling and informing somebody else they can do it. Like, you're good troops, you can do this. So, you've got that going for you. And then this is Sylvari base. This is your race. This isn't tight. I'll show you human next, because that's what I go to. Either one of these, they help with your story. I chose Green Knight. It started me off in the beginning dealing with some stuff. I won't spoil it and whatnot. Then you've got, for the Sylvari, it's, a philosophy, if you will. And then what type of Sylvari you are, because Sylvari can't reproduce like normal. They are, in fact, pretty much popped out of a seed pod, and they're born at a specific time frame, and that affects the Savari and how his mood is. And then, of course, you've got this, which summarizes everything you just chose, more of a roleplay-esque feel, though, and then you can name them. So let's go ahead and go back. Let's go ahead and click human. I'll click female this time. Go ahead and click elementalist. That butt. Anyways, okay, so you've got the same thing, height, physique, and whatnot, which does affect breast size for the females. Yeah, okay. Head options, I guess for the females, you've only got hair and face. But look, I mean, look, the options for hair are pretty good. I mean, you can't not love that hairstyle. Let me go back real quick and grab a male, just to show you the what I was talking about. Alright, so see, yeah, facial hair and whatnot. You can have some pretty serious, yeah, face details. It's all the same stuff. Notice they get this, but they lack other stuff and whatnot. Yeah. So that about sums up that aspect of character creation. Now, the stories, personal stories, are a bit different because those are heavily race-defined. For example, a human character is not any way going to have the same personal story as a Savari. It can't be done. Therefore, some stuff will be the same, but some stuff will be vastly different. Most anything you choose at character creation at the start of the game is going to be different. You can't, because they just don't share it. There's nothing, oh, cool about that. Now, hair options-wise, while they seem to have a large amount of them, they aren't... You know, you've got your long hairs, some beautiful long hairs, and they just added, like, I believe that was just added to humans. I could be wrong, but I don't remember it being there. Yeah. You got dreads and shit. But, yeah, so there's a decent amount of hair options, enough to say that it's above average, at least, but it's nothing extraordinary. Facial hair, meh, I mean, usually you get, like, that. So it's nice to have that as a fucking option, I guess. Face detail, though, is where I'm going to go ahead and say that this is normal. This is typical stuff you expect to see in most MMOs, and even a lot of single-player games at this date. I mean, it's nice to have all this stuff, but there's nothing extra fancy about it. This is pretty much your cookie cutter. You must have this stuff nowadays for any form of character creation. They do at least have a body slider, and you do have the ability to pick your physique. So at least they're not making you walk around with this, because I would never want to be that big. I'm sorry, that's just no. So, I mean, and you've got your skin color, so it's not like they're forcing a lot of MMOs will force you to be a white guy. So, it's pretty good. You've got enough, like I said, overall to make it to where you will not run into a direct carbon copy of yourself. And somebody like myself enjoys that, sure. You're going to have heightened awareness, especially if you don't like looking like everybody else. If you want to look incredibly unique and stand out, that's hard to do because trendsetters start the trend. Either way, let's go ahead and leave that there, and I'll explain the story a little bit more and some skills. Alright, Guild Wars 2 has a very interesting skill system. You have all your skills for the weapon you have equipped on. You have them all equipped. But as you use that weapon, you learn more. So if I were to go ahead and finish creating this character, I believe Elementals start with a scepter. I would have a few fire skills, but I'd only have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 keys on your keyboard are your skills, but you can control right-click a skill of any of those 5, and 6, 7, 8, 9, I believe, and set them to auto-attack. But you can only have 1 on auto-attack. You have to click the rest. Either way, you start with 1, and then as you use the weapon, I believe it's kill-based, but I could be wrong. I think it's the amount of experience gained, actually, because I noticed when you're level X and you kill something XXX levels below you, auto skill gain, whatever. But you learn them right away, and you can. It's pretty fast. There's no pay gold to learn this. On the other hand, you do also have something, skill points and utility skills, which at this point, since Guild Wars 2 is not new, everybody knows who's played it. And if you don't, Okay, then I'm telling you, but also go to Guild Wars 2 World Wiki, I believe, and it'll have the skills listed. These are skills you spend skill points on that you gain via leveling up, and you can find them throughout the world via exploring and activating points and or sometimes killing a creature. These unlock utility skills that you put on 6, 7, 8, 9. I don't think 0 is one, but I'm not sure. And they have different effects, such as engineers can res turrets, elementalists can summon familiars, mesmers can create clones and duplicates, hunters can have, you know, stuff like that. So it's pretty complex, but since I count utility skills more as offset skills, I'm very much a person who likes to just click a few buttons, not 100, i.e. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to go ahead and say that Guild Wars 2's skill system is a little below average. You have enough to feel like you're doing something, but a lot of the classes, elementalists, guardians can get away with it if they're using ranged, and hunters, rangers, holy shit. They got to do a circle strafe somebody and let auto attack whittle them down. Like, it's entirely possible. So because that's a thing, it makes it a little less, I need a million skills, you know, so the skill system is nice, but it's nothing fancy. Alright, so gear. Gear is, relative to your class, the scholar classes, Mesmer, Elementalist. Is there another scholar class? I don't think there is. Let me go ahead and go back real quick. Another scholar class. Oops. Mesmer, Elementalist, and Necromancer. They wear cloth. Your Thief, Ranger, and Engineer wear medium, and your Warrior and Guardian wear heavy. These vastly differ between what you are. For example, this is some heavy armor. It's actually called the Protector set. It's the Human Cultural Tier 3. I fucking love it, but since I play a Savari, I can't use it. The armor in and of itself, stat-wise, it is what you expect. I mean, a Guardian and a Warrior can take a beating, but an Elementalist can't. A Necromancer can, only because of his class mechanic. Now, while these aren't fancy in and of themselves, let me go ahead and switch, because Warrior's making obnoxious sounds. One thing that is nice is that, wow, I just brain fart. Right. You get things called transmutation stones. Now, you get a lot of normal ones, i.e. items of level 1 to 79. You use a stone and you drop 2 items in of the same type. By same type, I mean if you're using it, let's say you drop a cloth armor chest piece in. You can only use it with another cloth armor chest piece, meaning no cloth armor chest piece and heavy armor chest piece. But you can transfer the appearance of any item to any other item of the equivalent type and levels irrelevant. So if you like a, say, level 1 armor set, and you don't like any of the higher tier, that's cool. Open the transmutation stone, drop in that level 1, and drop in that level X, and take the appearance of level 1, the stats of the X, and if there's a rune or a sigil installed, you can also choose that. So it's pretty good, and you get some fine ones, fine transmutation stones, which are used for level 80 armor. You know, so if you like an 80s set, you can wear it at level 1 if you can afford to get it, of course, and transfer the appearance. Admittedly, I did that. So, you've got that going for you. You can also do it with weapons. Of course, if you're using it on a staff, you have to use another staff, etc. It's pretty simple, but I like it. I find that that's a great perk, because as somebody who's played World of Warcraft in the past, I have to say, as you level up and get better looking, no, better armor, the shit gets ridiculous. I'm tired of being a cloth armor wearing guy and having pauldrons that are bigger than a fucking dragon. So I like it. You also have the option to hide your shoulder pads and helmet. No, you can't hide gloves or anything, but hey, you get something. Some of us don't like helmets. Okay, so you've got that going for you. There's enough, like I said, there's a fair enough amount of races, but there's nothing fancy. Once again, it's your typical. You've got your humans, your bigger humans, your gnome / goblin / dwarf / lolly. Well, let's change that hairstyle, because fuck that hairstyle. That's there / fucking alien lollies. Okay, anyways. And then you've got your elves. What the fuck? Go back. Elves and furries. Alright. So humans, other humans, goblins, elves, and furries. So I guess I guess you've got your basic, basic 5. I would like to say Guild Wars 2 has a character creation that is outstanding, but in all reality, and if you don't agree with me, that's cool. You leave a comment below and tell me why. It is average. It is pretty much average, but luckily, the game's fairly fun. It's got a great world to explore, and as I said, if I knew more of the lore on some of these races, I might be able to, I don't know, feel a bit more for them, but like I said, that was years ago, and I'm really not going to go pick up Guild Wars 1. Sue me. So that about covers it for the Guild Wars 2 character creation. Yeah, so I give this out of 1 to 100, I give it a 71. It's definitely good enough to stand out on its own. It's definitely got enough races and classes that you can feel good about what you are. It's got enough skills that you'll keep yourself using some different ones, but at the same time, it doesn't force it upon you, so you don't have to. You can take that as a good thing, or you can take that as a bad thing. It's got some good aspects, like the ability to transfer the appearance of items, which to me adds to your character's appearance. You do have voices for your characters as you're going throughout your story missions. They will talk, but they all sound the same. So all male Savari, irrelevant of your class and whatnot, sound the same. It's pretty much like SWTOR, which is acceptable because, hey, at least you have voice acting. Like I said, my rating, 71 out of 100. Guild Wars 2, everybody. It's a great game. You should give it a shot. It's buy to play, so you're not losing anything if you buy it and you dislike it. Hey, it's a game that maybe you'll dislike now, might get better in the future. Alright guys, thank you for watching, and I'll be back next time.